hardwired. Even though I'm not depressed. By association, that I was depressed, and so she moves into that. So you can imagine, like, her history is full of horrible history attachment. I really believe this, but now I'm going to talk about this before. I think one of the worst things you can do to that human being, I think the worst thing that one human being can do to another is for a parent to abuse a child. No doubt about it. For the very reason that they're the ones that are in charge to protect them, and they're the ones that are persecuted. When your protector is your persecutor, you don't know what to do. You cannot figure that out. You don't have the functions in your brain that make sense of that, and so you have to go to major extremes to survive. And the adaptation that you have to make to get through that gets you through it, but it makes you so distraught in life. Right? Interferes with any other connection of intimacy with people in your life. It's horrible. And takes years and years and years of therapy to get over. I've been doing this work for long enough that I can tell probably within a minute if someone's been sexually abused. Just by engaging with them enough to see how their disposition is and how the level of comfort of giving or receiving care is in front of me. You just tell that they're in a state of survival and war and self-protection. There's some differences in how they can look. Some people look more distant and aloof, and some people look a little more clingy, insecure, and apologetic. But they have a certain way about them that you can pick up on that. You can see the attachment embedded in the midst of that. So I think that's such a horrible thing to do. And it makes sense if you have an attachment perspective. So who are attachment figures? Well, for children, it's those who are most responsive to crying and interact socially. So crying is the bid for children, and interacting with them socially is the play for children. And so we bond with. If you have little kids, how many of you guys have little kids right now? Right? Okay. So here's what you need to do with little kids. You don't play with little kids by standing up. If you want to socially engage with little kids, you get down on your knees, right? And you look at them eye to eye, and you enter into their world. And when you enter into the world, you engage with them socially for longer than 0.5 seconds, or 2 minutes, or time enough to grab your phone. Right? Because kids will pick up on the fact whether you're resonating with them. And so you have to engage with them long enough to resonate with them in order for bonds to occur. So for you to be an attachment figure, you've got to engage with them. You know, grandparents can do the same thing. They can be surrogate attachment figures. But a parent who is preoccupied and doesn't socially engage, and where life is about function, about accomplishment, and about responsiveness to their cell phone or whatever else, they miss cues, children's bids for responding to them, both through crying and for interacting socially. Daddy, will you play with me? Daddy, will you play with you? Right, William, like, just a minute. I'm all busy right now. All these bids, over and over again, deteriorating the attachment bond. It doesn't mean that a parent can never say, give me just a minute. We had this rule with our kids when they came up to us and we would talk with someone else and we didn't want them to interrupt us. You guys have that, right? Where they're like, right in the middle, like a really important conversation, they're like, look, watch me blow this bubble. You know? So we told them that if you needed to interrupt us and it was really bad, you could interrupt us. But if it wasn't really bad, we just find what really bad was. You have to come over and put your hand on us. And you put your hand on our knee, and what we would do is we put our hand on top of our hand to let them know that we were aware of it. Okay? And then we'd say, as soon as we are done talking, we'll talk to them. So you put your hand on our knee, we'll put our hand on top of yours. And then you know that daddy or mommy knows that you're here, and that when you have to say it's really important to us, and that we'll respond to you as soon as we can. And we're great. It took a little bit, right? Like if they start talking, we go, so those who serve as attachment for adults are the ones that are most responsive to anxiety and fear. Anxiety and fear are the two most dominant emotions experienced. Also the amygdala holds more anxiety and fear than any other emotion. It regulates that. And to social interaction, very similar, right? Anxiety and fear and social interaction. Engaging socially. Having conversation. Not just conversation about the weather, but having meaningful conversation. Intimacy in Latin means innermost. And so this conversation is full of engaging one another with innermost conversations about self from the innermost. How are you feeling? How are you doing? How are you doing? What's scaring you? What's bringing you happiness? Right? You know, in order to be able to answer that question, you have to be a really self-reflective person. You have to practice the capacity to be able to sync within your own self and discover yourself. And then it's rapid-paced world, that's one of the most difficult things to do. You know, Valerie and I, we know this when we're in therapy, and a lot of times, this happens to be the man, we'll say, hey, tell me what's coming up for you right now. And they're totally like, like, you know that muscle, that neuron that goes from the brain to the emotional system, it's like it's been cut off, right? And they are like struggling, so they're constipated trying to get it. What is that feeling? Oh man, you have like emotional constipation, you can't even get to it, right? They have to hardwire themselves over and over and over and over again to be able to acknowledge and to be able to access those emotions. Those are extremely important to relationships, extremely important. You cannot survive in an intimate relationship without access to emotion. It is the color, it is the music of the tap dance. And so if you can't access it, then you will only be able to go as far as you can access your emotions when it comes to attachment. Because emotions are what makes emotions are embedded in pride and anxiety and social interactions. It's deeply embedded. It is both the motivation and the reward. Right? It motivates us and rewards us. It motivates us and rewards us. And without it, right, life is flat. And a flat life is a horrible life. So there's a trade-off though. And a lot of people who are wired for war over-regulate their emotion down to a level to where the trauma they were experiencing they couldn't feel, so they would push that down. But when you push down any emotion, you push down all emotion. You can't just shut out scary and open the door to joy. You narrow, it's like a tube. All emotion goes through this tube. And if you tighten it, then you tighten all emotion. You tighten it down for fear, you tighten it down for peace. Right? The tighter it gets, the more flat. And so the trick is that what some people think is, well, I can just not feel sad, but I can feel happy. And that's not really true. There's moments of excitement and high stimulating activities, but that falls off really quickly too. And so you just return to the state of sort of numbness. I think that's what I read.
Well, I was just thinking about the couple, there's a gentleman who he has learned how to almost like, he knows how he's supposed to behave in what feels like an emotionally attentive way, but his wife doesn't buy it. Right? So that's, in my opinion, almost worse.
Yeah.
Because he's a good actor in some
Yeah.
ways, but she picks up on the fact that he doesn't know how. I think I don't think he's being sincere, but doesn't. So.
Yes, and he had a really neglectful father.
Mm-hmm.
We have some great stories. One of them describes his father's incredibly shaming him. And so he shut off his emotion as a way to survive his family. And so he looks mechanical. He's very sincere, but he looks mechanical in the way he engages with her.
Almost like road.
Yeah, it's like road. It's like, this is what I should do, so I'll say this. And she knows it. You know, I mean, she can tell when it's packed. When it's packed with emotion, it makes it feel juvenile. You know why that is? It's because until the right and left brain agree, right brain monitors emotion, and left brain monitors content. If the right brain agree, then it's key to an experience. If the right and left brain don't agree, then the person is suspicious. Right? You're saying this, but you're not showing this. And it's not just you saying you're sad, it's you showing you're sad, and you making the sad expressions in the sad tone, right? Like everyone give me your sad. That's your happy. Everyone's giving you sad, right? So the sad, everyone has the sad, and it's universal look. And it's like the brain is always, particularly the right brain and the middle brain, are picking up on all these nonverbal cues. And so this is what says you're being congruent or you're not. If someone has trouble accessing your emotion like that we work with, I mean, we will prompt them into what's called enactments. And we'll say, lean towards her, just tell her what it's like for you to see tears in her eyes and all these things like, is it really like emotional constipating lean towards her and do that? It's just, it's so lonely. It's so lonely to be so vulnerable and have something so robotic. You know, and so he's really working hard, he's uncovering, and it's just, she can't even believe that he's clean because he doesn't seem congruent. And so it's just, you know, we are battling this so hard. And we got, a couple times we got on the tears and the
Like
page.
twice or maybe over the year.
Yeah, over here, like 2 times.
It's about his children, not about his marriage.
Right. It's a really hard time when it comes to marriage. And so, yeah. So it's not just, I know you guys give me a hard time because it's like Dr. Frog can cry. But it's like, the reason to stimulate emotion is so that it opens up windows for engagement. Right? So you're not shut down. When you open up your window for engagement, like even if I'm sitting with you in your office cafeteria, like all of a sudden there's some space between us that's sacred. As long as I'm not neglecting that space. As long as I'm responding to you with a good enough response, an accessible response, and engaged, then all of a sudden that moment becomes sacred. Right? And when there's the absence of emotion, we become more distant. And we can still be friends. Right? But when emotion enters the room, all of a sudden there's this beautiful dance that occurs. And there's an opportunity for connection, and there's an opportunity for greater sense of loneliness. We're not responding too well. Right? And so it's always this sort of dance, this level of attunement and responsiveness is really important to this body moments. Okay, so I'm going to skip Mary Ainsworth's 3 types of attachment styles. I'm going to go into adult attachment. Because we need to catch the KU.
Yes.
Just kidding, that's not what it is. Okay, let me talk about the 3 phases of attachment. So this is for children and for adults. So we go through these stages. We don't just go from like attached to detached. We have to go through a process of separating ourselves. So the first one is sort of crying, screaming, anger, pounding the door. That's like the child version of it, but the adult version of it can look a little different. It can be the crying. It's basically the state of protest. That's saying that, you know, this distance between us, or this accessibility that I need from you right now, it's not happening. And so I'm going to throw a fit. And sometimes when the partner's throwing a fit, the other partner's shaming for throwing their attachment fit. Right? They're saying you're too needy, you want too much, you're asking for too much. And basically what that person is saying almost 90% of the time, if I'm wrong with your clients, they're saying, I feel too inadequate to meet your needs, so I'm going to blame you. I don't know how to hold your emotion. I don't know how to respond in a way to provide you the comfort that you need to calm your emotion down. And so I'll just go ahead and say, you're too emotional, rather than I'm too inadequate to be able to respond to your emotion. I don't know how to handle this. I don't know how to handle you, so therefore something's wrong with you, rather than something is wrong with me. And it's usually you get that place in therapy where the partner who's been blaming and shaming the other one is able to say to themselves, you know what, the truth is, I feel really insecure about knowing how to be there for you. And when you start to cry, I just feel blank. And when my mom cried when I was little, right, because I asked for something and I upset her, I just feel blank, but I keep everything calm. You can see this origin and this blank look. You know, they're able to communicate the kind of brokenness in that moment. So small sounds of temporary respite as the child checks for signs of attachment figure return, dominant attitude, hope for the attachment figure return, fear, anger, distress. And the child rejects alternate caregivers, and the child will reject alternate the adult will reject alternate caregivers too. It's like, hey, there's one person that I want. Have you guys ever been in a situation where a child's been crying, you're like going to help them, and you're like sort of friend of the family or whatever, and you're like, no, I want mom. They like go around you. Or even when you're both parents are standing there and they go around one parent to the other, and you as a parent feel rejected, like, what's my problem?
Yeah.
Right? You know what's really common for children is for children to go to dads for protection and to go to moms for comfort. Because what are moms? They're soft, they smell good, right? They usually have soft skin, they don't have a furry, scruffy face, right? I mean, just anatomically, they're really well suited for comfort. And they really are very good nurturers, you know, and they just, and men are bigger, tend to be bigger, more muscular, they have square jawlines. They look like more protective figures. And so in need of, usually in times of protection, if both attachment figures are there, in times of protection, they'll go to the male. But if the male's not there, they'll go to the mom easily for protection. But they're not dummies. They know what's going to ensure their survival the best, right? If the big black dog comes out in the park, I'm going to run to dad. The dad's more likely to save me than mom is. He's a little faster, he's a little stronger, and I've seen him climb trees, and he can do it really well. With me on his back, right? And mom can't climb a tree with a hoot, so we'll let mom die on her own, and we'll go save ourselves. Okay, so the first phase is protest. The second phase is despair. This is where we settle it. And in the John Bowley study, the kids that were in the hospital and they left by their parents, they moved